Joining us now to talk more is former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State in the Obama administration, Joel Rubin. Great to have you. Thanks for being here.
Appreciate it, Anna. Thanks.
So what are Israel and Hamas doing to ensure that this hostage exchange goes as smoothly as the last one?
Well, this is a highly complex deal, as you pointed out earlier, and there can always be bumps in the road. And so we've seen a need for continued engagement by allies, by the American government, by Qatar and Egypt, our allies who helped negotiate this deal to ensure that it goes smoothly. Thankfully, 4 young women soldiers were released today, but that wasn't what was promised to Israel. And I have to tell you, on a personal level, watching that video, it really stirred me. I was listening to the Hebrew. The father was saying, "You're home now, you're home now." This is at its core a humanitarian ceasefire, and it's going to really require deep emotional energy on all sides to continue it, because the feelings are very hard, clearly, between Israel and Hamas.
Gosh, I mean, it really is. I agree with you. So emotional to watch. I mean, they're looking into one another's eyes, holding each other's faces, thinking, "I was never going to see you again," perhaps.
Right.
So, is this ceasefire going to last? What could lead to a breakdown in this hostage exchange?
Well, this first period is 6 weeks, and it looks like it has legs. We did have a ceasefire in November of 2023 that lasted for 5 days, and then it broke down because Hamas restarted the fighting. And the problem with this conflict historically is that there are spoilers. And I'm worrying about Iran, for example, motivating Hamas to try to take advantage of this ceasefire, perhaps to restock its military supply, to do something that would undermine the ceasefire. And of course, the crucial part as well during this period is that they continue to negotiate to get to a stage 2, because after the end of 6 weeks, only 33 of the hostages will be released. That still leaves over 60. And it's crucial that a phase 2 continues after phase 1 to get all of the hostages out.
Yeah, and we've got some live pictures there in Israel right now, and people are holding up signs. I would imagine they're of the hostages that either have returned home, and they'll be hearing more from them soon, but also the others that are included in that 33, and just hoping that this deal doesn't crumble before their eyes. What role is the United States playing in making sure that this process goes smoothly? And do you think President Trump's aggressive stance on the Middle East had a role in getting these hostages freed?
I do. Look, we're the guarantor of this deal. We're the ones that brought together the different parties under President Biden's leadership, working for almost 8 months to get our allies in the region to work with Hamas, and us working with Israel. And then President Trump and his team supported that and carried it forward. Yes, it was without a doubt a momentum shifter to get the deal closed. And now it's in President Trump's hands. And clearly he is concerned about the hostages. Clearly he does not want to see this explode into another hot war. And that means he's going to have to roll up his sleeves personally and continue to stay engaged. If the president of the United States is not engaged, and this is the history of Middle East diplomacy, if the president of the United States is not engaged, bad things happen. It can, of course, take a lot of time. But these debates, these discussions will need him engaged.
Yeah, and just before this hostage agreement, the ceasefire deal was reached, both envoys from both administrations, Biden and Trump,
that's right,
were there on the ground. If you can unpack this for me, I've been reading about Israel announcing that its forces have begun an operation in the West Bank. They said that on Wednesday. So why is Israel still pursuing military action when it has just won peace? Can you unpack that?
You got it. This is why it's such a complicated conflict. In Gaza, that's where the ceasefire exists, and that's to the southeastern part of Israel, and then to the southwestern, and then to the eastern part in the West Bank. There is not an ongoing war between Israel and Hamas like there was in Gaza, but there is ongoing military activity. Hamas organizes from there. There have been terrorist attacks organized from there. And there is a Palestinian Authority as well that is coordinating with the Israeli government. So a lot of threats ongoing, a lot of concerns, and this is why it's such a complicated conflict to resolve, and why these windows of calm,
yes,
like we're seeing now, need to be taken advantage of.
And we are out of time, so if you can do this very quickly, but of those that are being exchanged, are there any concerns that some folks may return to the battlefield even?
Yeah, there are. There's a lot of concern in Israel. There was an exchange about 15 years ago for one Israeli soldier, Gilad Shalit, and over 1,000 were released, including the man who we know as Yahya Sinwar, the person who organized this attack against Israel on October 7th. So that is always, yes, a concern.
Right, which is why in Netanyahu's cabinet, he had a far-right leader there that resigned after this deal
That's right.
was put into place. Former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, the Obama administration, Joel Rubin, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Anna.